huge entertainment, business, and YouTube news. And that is the biggest YouTuber on this site, PewDiePie, aka Felix. He has been dropped and kicked out of his MCN by Disney. He has now had his YouTube Red series canceled by YouTube. And additionally, YouTube announced that they have kicked Felix off of their Google Preferred tier, which is their premium family-friendly tier of advertising.
All right, turd lovers, I got a rant coming and I got my fiber all flared up, so we'll see how interesting this gets. Maybe a lot of edits, we'll fucking see. BS. By the way, I want to do a rant trigger warning that this is going to be a bit of a rant. So if you have some thin skin, unthickened skinned skin that doesn't like to have a rant, then you might want to turn this off. So I actually happened to see this today in the news, and at first I saw it and I thought, huh, that's interesting. It was that and it was one of the top stories. Have you seen this? That PewDiePie is an anti-Semite, and apparently he has a series that has been dropped that he was working on called Scared PewDiePie. He had some associations with Disney that's being dropped, and he as well has YouTube is now distancing themselves. And I didn't really think much about it. I just kind of skimmed over the titles and I thought, yeah, okay, whatever. And then tonight, as I'm doing another video, I see that H3 Productions did a video. So, you know, as I'm uploading and I'm doing my thing, I click on it. Holy shit. So first of all, I'm going to link, please go to H3 and watch their version. I'm going to use some clips from his and give you some information that way because it'll be easier for me. He covers this much better than I can. But long story short, so as we all know, Felix, who I fucking love. Now here's the thing, I'm not even a gamer. I'm not necessarily into watching people play games. No disrespect if that's what you do. It's just not my thing. If I do anything, it's The Sims. I like to be God of my world. But, so he does a lot of streaming yeah, he did a lot of gaming streaming. I mean, fuck. I don't need to give an introduction for Felix. You guys know who Felix PewDiePie is. So apparently, there are some clips of PewDiePie here. I'm gonna go ahead and play all this from H3, but there are clips of fucking PewDiePie, and he's dressed up as a Nazi, and he decides, as he does, he plays practical jokes, which I absolutely love. So he dresses up as a Nazi as he's doing this video, where basically he was talking about how you can get away with anything on Fiverr, or Fiverr. And so as a joke, as a fucking joke, and to prove a point about Fiverr, he went on and he was able to hire people to stand up and have a sign that says, I hate all Jews, comma, subscribe to Keemstar. Something this nature here. I'm gonna let H3, I'm gonna let this motherfucker take it a little bit, and here's what he has to say on it.
So as far as I can tell, this new round of hit jobs on Felix started from the Wall Street Journal, with an article entitled Disney Severs Ties with YouTube Star PewDiePie After Anti-Semitic Posts. Okay, that title is fucking garbage. Anti-Semitic posts? Let's just show what he did.
But anyway, Fiverr now has decided that this kind of work is not enough. They need more. So they've expanded into pretty much fucking everything. It was a blissful moment when I discovered this. We have the low of the low, the scraping of the bottom, fun and lifestyle. Basically just become, I'll do pretty much anything you want for $5.
PewDiePie went on Fiverr, and as a joke, he asked people to hold up a sign that says, "Death to all Jews," comma, everyone's forgetting the second part, "Death to all Jews, comma, subscribe to Keemstar." He's making a joke about Keemstar, making it sound like he's anti-Semitic, okay? That's the joke. Now, another part of this commentary, and you're making me explain a fucking joke, which is always obscene, is that he's seeing what you can get people to do for $5. It's an interesting commentary. He found a guy who impersonates Jesus and got him to say Hitler did absolutely nothing wrong.
Hello, Jesus here. Just want to let you all know that Hitler did absolutely nothing wrong.
Now that is fucking hilarious, guys, okay? It's a joke. He's not serious. There's a big difference, guys. Context matters.
So the amount of fallout that has been happening has been absolutely insane from this situation. And I wanted to talk about this, and I wanted to go into it because there's just this growing trend because of the fucking SJWs that I have seen in the media, and that is, I feel like we are returning to an era of McCarthyism. Now, McCarthyism was started by Joseph McCarthy, and here, I'm going to go ahead and read the Wikipedia page, because Wikipedia, of course, is the most credible source for anything. Have fun in the comments, guys. McCarthyism is the practice of making accusations of subversion or treason without proper regard for evidence. It also means the practice of making unfair allegations or using unfair investigative techniques, especially in order to restrict dissent or political criticism. The term has its origins in the period of the United States known as the Second Red Scare, lasting roughly from 1956 and characterized by heightened political repression, as well as campaigns spreading fear of influence on American institutions and of espionage by Soviet agents. These policies remote from the 1940s. Now, let me explain how scary fucking McCarthyism is. Basically, Joseph McCarthy got a big fucking head and a big fucking ego and decided to have this whole thing where he put people on trial, whether it was government officials, celebrities, people in power, and made these baseless accusations saying that people are fucking Soviet communists and spies. One of my favorite people in the whole world, Charlie Chaplin, actually went through this process and was kicked out of the States as a result. This motherfucker was done dirty. In 1953, he went over to London to do a film premiere for, I think, a movie called Limelight, and then J. Edgar Hoover did not let him back in the country and said he was a communist. And they did this with other people back in too. And they had no evidence. It was all baseless, just complete bullshit. And this is what I feel like we are now seeing slowly happen in our country again. It's that same concept of, history is going to repeat itself if you choose not to fucking look at it and learn from it. And I feel like that's exactly what's happening and exactly what we're now going through in the United States with the Trump administration. Now let me explain. We now have a whole new brand. Again, it's all the same bullshit going on in politics and with SJWs. It's different flavors and packaged differently depending on the generation. Basically what happens is there's a test run market to see what the generations will buy. And the great thing about the millennials is we have a generation of people who really wants to make an impact on the world, who really wants to help. The problem is we have not taught any critical thinking skills in our schools, so that now we are packaging, here, do this, sign up for Black Rights Matter, which has become a terrorist organization because you're going to be helping, the black community, which ends up not helping them at all. It ends up actually making it a lot worse for people. Good. And before, I can already hear the comments now. I think Black Lives Matter is a great concept, really fucking poorly executed. Look into who funds it. That's what I will say. This is for another fucking video. Or again, we have the SJW crowd who is just fed. Basically now, we have what I would call, and this is a light, before people are gonna go source it. God, I'm making up a term here. Internet terrorism. If you don't like somebody that you see on the internet, or just anybody in general, you go on the internet and you try to destroy their life, and these are the tactics now they're used, just to completely slander people. Now if you like Trump, apparently you're a fucking Nazi. You're fucking KKK. If you say, it's ridiculous. If you say anything against the liberal left now at this point, you are just the scum of society and you're a racist. So now the new thing is, again, we're just telling people that we don't agree with from the left. The left is like, oh, well, if you believe this, this, and this, or if you don't believe everything we say, you're racist. You're a Nazi. And I'm just, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. You can't tell a fucking joke anymore. I have to give 10,000 disclaimers because of this. This is why no matter how many times I share my opinion or my story about what I've gone through with my health, and I say, I'm not a doctor, do what's right for you. Try the medical route, and if for some reason you can't, try the natural route. Do you know how many times people are going to take that and spin their own narrative to it? Even comedians nowadays, Jerry Seinfeld and so many comedians have come out saying, we're not gonna go perform on college campuses because they can't take a fucking joke. They can't take any criticism. I want to explain something. Joking, humor, and this is what I enjoy and I do, and many people can't see through my humor on this. 99.8% of you can, and you are smart, critical thinkers, and I fucking appreciate you. And sometimes people do have valid criticisms, but I swear to God, humor is being able to find the joy and the light in the darkest of situations. Hence my name, Joy Sparkle Bullshit. I feel like one of my gifts that I have to give to the planet is to find the light in the dark places, and that's what humor does, and that's why it is so valuable. Pewdiepie, Felix, is not a fucking racist or a Nazi. That's where he was making fun of the concept. He's making fun of it. It makes no sense. And what I hate is we now live in a society that is so crazy unforgiving. The media, this is one thing I do like about Trump. And oh, now let's go ahead and say I'm a Trump supporter. Go for it, guys. Fucking go for it, Kiwi Warriors. I don't give a shit. I don't care. But one thing I do like is how much he has been calling out the media. I loved how remember when he went after BuzzFeed? Here, I'll give some fucking clips right here.
Information that was false and fake and never happened got released to the public. As far as BuzzFeed, which is a failing pile of garbage, writing it, I think they're going to suffer the consequences. They already are. And as far as CNN going out of their way to build it up, and by the way, we just found out I was coming down. Michael Cohen. Michael Cohen is a very talented lawyer. He's a good lawyer in my firm. It was just reported that it wasn't this Michael Cohen they were talking about. So all night long, it's Michael Cohen. I said, I want to see your passport. He brings his passport to my office. I say, hey, wait a minute. He didn't leave the country. He wasn't out of the country. They had Michael Cohen of the Trump Organization was in Prague. It turned out to be a different Michael Cohen. It's a disgrace what took place. It's a disgrace. And I think they ought to apologize to start with Michael Cohen.
Sir, since you're attacking us, can you give us a question? No, Mr. President-elect.
Go ahead.
Mr. President-elect, since you are attacking our news organization, can you give us a chance?
Your organization
You are attacking our news organization.
Your organization.
Can you give us a chance to ask a question, sir?
Go ahead.
Sir, can you state...
Quiet.
Mr. President-elect,
go ahead.
Can you state
she's asking a question. Don't
Mr.
be rude.
President-elect, can you give us a question?
Don't be rude.
You're attacking us. Can you give us a question?
Don't be rude. No, I'm not going to give you a question. I'm not going to give you a question.
Can you state categorically...
You are fake news.
Sir.
I can disagree with Trump on several things, but that takes some fucking balls. And I adore that Trump actually had the balls to do that. And we need to keep our medias in check. Please remember, our media is owned by, all the medias are owned by, the same company and the same people. All with their own narrative, all pushing their own fucking agendas. And as much as I hate to say this and I hate to be that conspiracy theorist person, you can't fucking trust the media. And this is now another thing I wanted to get into. I'm gonna go ahead and divulge this right now. I was gonna do a whole nother video about this, but let's go ahead and do this because I wanna support PewDiePie. This is in what I call the hive mindset. The hive mindset is we don't actually research, we don't look at the facts, we don't critically think, we don't look at a situation and weigh it from every possible side and then see what feels right, come to conclusions and find wisdom in it. No, we don't do that anymore. That's just not something that is taught or is done. What is done is somebody says something, we see one thing and it's immediate reaction, destroy. And we don't even think about it. And whoa, what happened? Lighting's a little bit different. Hair looks a little funny. Sorry guys, I actually filmed this last night. I was gonna go ahead and upload it today. I started editing it and the last half just decided not to record because the joys of technology fucking up. Technological issues are fun, aren't they? Okay, so here's what I wanna say. Continuing on this stream of thought, let me try to get back into it. We cannot, as a society, take a joke. Instead, what happens is we have learned to become a reactive society. So we just hear something that the bullshit media decides to put out there, no matter if it's true or not, and we're taught just to react in outrage and then do online and sometimes in person character defamation. This is why people are so pissed off about this. Because we see that the media is spinning their fucking wheels again. Because, what, I'm assuming slow news day. That's exactly what this is. Why else would this happen? Why else would the Wall Street Journal make such a fucking ridiculous video? In fact, and I'm glad this technology issue happened because I want to go ahead, and this was something I didn't do last night, I want to look at this Wall Street Journal video. Let's go ahead and debunk this bullshit right now.
Let's go inside the stories. The scoop. Oh no, that's better. Scoop is better. Let's get into the latest scoops.
All right. Channeling my inner Matthew McConaughey. Okay, so let's look at what this is saying. This is saying that he has brief anti-Semitic messages. Now we're gonna go on this video, and here's what you're gonna see is what similar to what we saw earlier. What actually happened is PewDiePie made jokes. He made a few jokes that had to do with Nazis and being anti-Semitic, but they were jokes and it was to prove a point about something else. And I love this. H3H3 said this, so I'm going to echo him that I love the way they're setting up this video, the really scary music to try to make it look like something bigger than it isn't. It's not. These were jokes. So now we can't, and people are upset because we can't joke about anything. What in the hell? It doesn't make any sense to me. So now if you show any clips of Hitler, if you show anything that has to do with anything Nazi, no matter what the context is, you're a fucking anti-Semite and we're gonna go ahead and just blast you in the news? No, I'm calling bullshit. That's character defamation. We need to be able to joke. We need to have the freedom of speech to be able to joke without these fucking news thugs making shit up and then getting a whole generation of people to react without critically thinking you're looking at the facts. So let's keep going with this.
Subscribe to Keemstar.
I am sorry. I didn't think they would actually do it. I feel partially responsible, but just I didn't think they would actually do it.
And there you have it. Just one example. He literally, look, you can see the look of shock on his face. He apologizes and says, hey, I didn't think Fiverr would go this far. I didn't think that you could really go as far in Fiverr as to literally have anything paid for. Let's see if it'll happen. He apologizes too. And he says, I feel partially responsible. Like, he's taking responsibility, but no, we can't have forgiveness. Heaven forbid, because everybody in our society is being trained to be so fucking miserable. The moment that you think you see a perceived weakness as somebody, no matter if it's true or not, let's just go attack. Let's just go react for the sake of. That's fucking makes no sense. And it's mean. It's fucking mean. It's a joke. He admits it's a joke. So why is everybody making a big fucking deal about this?
It might just be my crude sense of humor, but I think there's something funny about that. And I don't think there's any like actual anti-Semitic thing about it. Again, I think there's a difference between a joke and actual like fuck death to all Jews.
And so again, he clarifies, and he even goes on to say things like, it'd be totally different if I was saying, yes, we should kill all the Jews and all the Jews are bad. He's like, that's not what I was doing. I was making a joke, and it's scary to me. It's scary that we live in a society that has such limited critical thinking that we can't see through humor. And you know what, even more than that? I'm sad that we live in a society that does not allow humor anymore. You know, back in the day, if this were George Carlin, he'd be called edgy. You know, it'd be pushing the envelope. But we can't have any of that now. No, heaven fucking forbid. We try to find some joy in our society. We try to make light of things that are awful. And I'm not saying we should be completely disrespectful of things. And I can understand if maybe some people thought this was in poor taste or disrespect, but it's still a joke. There is no negative intention with this. And I'm so tired of the media trying to spin shit just to have shit to talk about. This is ridiculous.
We have to go through to make sure that the game won't be censored because people will make shit like this, okay?
And that statement's a bunch of bullshit because that PewDiePie cannot be responsible for the fact that maybe some groups that are, or hate groups or some bad groups end up enjoying what he's doing because they don't, again, see the context of it. PewDiePie is actually highlighting how awful it is to say something like death to Jews. That's the joke. The joke is, hey, let's go on Fiverr and see how fucking evil Fiverr will allow people to be. So if a hate site doesn't understand that he's actually making fun of people who think that way and condemning it with his joke, he can't help that. He can't be responsible for how everybody takes his comedy. And again, it was for satire. That's why, like, his videos being removed don't make sense. He even says it's satire. It's very obviously satire. Absolutely obvious. You know what I think is really going on? Here's my little conspiracy theory. I think the medias are freaked the fuck out because people aren't watching the news as much anymore, especially the younger generations. The older generations still do to an extent, but the younger generations, we don't give a shit because we see through that it's bullshit. We see it's bullshit. And now you have people like PewDiePie. You can out of nowhere become this, you know, mega rich superstar on the internet. Which is funny because that's what America's founded on, being able to build something from nothing. And they're scared of it. And because we have rights in our country, and there are rights in different places of the world, well, we can't necessarily just stop it. So what are we gonna do? We're gonna character assassinate as much as we can, just like they did to Charlie. Just fucking like they did to Charlie. Charlie spread so much joy. He was one of the first silent superstars. Remember, he had the fucking hat, the mustache, like I just talked about earlier. He spread so much joy to people that we have to start character assassinating. And I'm done. I'm not gonna stand by it. I'm gonna speak up. And again, that's not his fault. That's not his fault. He's a comedian. He tells jokes. He does satire. He tells stories and shit. Like, if hate groups aren't going to see that he's making fun of them, that's their fault. How is this PewDiePie's fault? Y'all, I can't with this. I can't. This makes me so frustrated. And remember, if you have any frustration about what you see in society that's wrong, you're mentally ill. I just want to make sure that you and I are both aware that we're mentally ill if we're frustrated by this. I'm not going to stand by this. I believe in freedom of speech. I believe in that amendment. And I'm going to defend people's freedom of speech, even if I don't like it, even if you don't like it, even if they're being hateful. We have to allow people to have different opinions because speech is very, very different than violent acts. If it's violent acts, then that's a whole different story. But I'm going to stand by his freedom to be able to be a comedian and fucking freedom of speech on this. This is absolutely absurd. And again, it's the hive mind. H3H3, as he was talking about, he is Jewish. His parents, if you watch the video, please watch the video. It's such a good video. I'm so happy that he put this out. His parents were saying, oh, you said kill all Jews. He's an anti-Semite. And he had to break down and explain, no, guys, it's a joke. That's not what's going on. But again, it's the reactive hive mind mentality. And I'm so just tired of seeing it. And PewDiePie is just being silly, guys. You can't be silly, you can't tell jokes, we can't make light of something dark, we all have to sit around and be fucking miserable. If some people want to sit around and be miserable and not joke about anything and take the world too fucking seriously, then that's their fucking business. I'm not going to be that. I will never be that. I'm going to raise my voice and I'm going to say something. And if you guys feel the same, I encourage all of you to do the same. Back up PewDiePie. Everybody on YouTube, if you feel the same, back up PewDiePie, because who are they going to come after next to do this? Who are they going to character defamate and assassinate next? So I did a little experiment recently. I'm not going to get into the details, but I'm going to give a little taste. And I'll do a separate video on this. The experiment was, I can understand a small percent of what he's going through. Not that I would compare me to PewDiePie whatsoever, but since I have gotten, I guess, what people call some popularity, or some people are saying internet fame, and in my mind, I'm a really small channel, which doesn't make sense to me. But my God, LolCal loves me. And I didn't understand how LolCal works at first. Now I get it, and I think it's funny. And I encourage y'all, right away, even if you want to make up lies or bullshit, or even actual criticisms that can work, right the fuck away. You have every right to do it, and I support your right to do it. Go for it. And what I find really interesting is that what I have found is that, and I've said this in a few videos, people completely either make up lies and spread gossip, or they will hear something I say, a portion, and take that and run with it in the opposite direction and make shit up that didn't happen. So I did a recent video where I did an experiment. And I'm going to reveal this probably in the next couple days on what this experiment does and actually what happened. And I want to say congratulations, 99.8% of you passed. You were smart and you were critical thinkers, and I appreciate you for that. But there are some people who fell for it. I literally said a specific statement, and then I clarified next statement on what that meant. And I wanted to see how many people didn't hear me or made up lies for their own narrative and went nuts on it. And I will show the results here soon, but this is what the hive mind is. This is what happens when we have fucking trends and everybody just jumps on the trend bandwagon without thinking. Well, I'm doing the right thing, so let me jump on the trend wagon here. I believe that's so much of what happened with this last election. You had the fucking, what I call what's become the new leftists. Everybody's jumping on the Hillary bandwagon because there's this big campaign about how fucking awful Trump is, when almost nobody, and it was very rarely reported in the news, the shit that Hillary did, the fucking awfulness. Hillary terrifies me. Trump's an asshole. I don't trust fucking Trump. But Hillary is fucking scary. She'll fucking steal millions of dollars that should have gone to Haitian homes. And then the homes aren't built. Like, there is some seriously effed up shit there. But again, it's the trend. It's the hive mind. Okay, for instance, people wanted Hillary because they were afraid Trump's going to take away their birth control. This was a feminist thing. So the feminists are screaming about this, and they need their birth controls. And to me, the biggest hypocrisy is that we are screaming for birth controls that for the majority of women, many women, poison us. Fucking poison us and make us sick. So we're gonna go with Hillary to keep our poisons rather than actually go after the real issue, which is, hey, the medical system should be free for anybody who has an issue, and we should push for reform on medications and birth controls that are fucking killing us. It's so hypocritical, but why does nobody think about this? Why doesn't this happen? Because we're gonna jump on a trend. It's easy to jump on a trend and think you're doing the right thing, then do the research, and then look at information critically. And when I say critical, this is what I mean. I didn't always used to be a critical thinker. And I understand how they can get offended and how they don't do the critical thinking. You have an opinion, or you see an opinion or a narrative pushed, and you allow it to affect you emotionally, and you just jump on it without looking into it. Now, there's nothing wrong with being affected emotionally by something. You guys watch me. Sometimes these are passionate and emotionally charged. But the difference is, me and critical thinkers, other people, we weigh the information. So once I will look at something, and maybe it'll make me feel a certain way, but let me look deeper. And then as I look deeper and I go down the rabbit hole and I look at all sides, I look at both sides, I look at the moderate, I look at the middle, and then I start playing devil's advocate. I argue the information in my head against the other information so I can come up with fucking wisdom in the situation. And this is one thing, if I can, impart on, I hate calling you my audience, so my fucking internet friends, the guys, y'all who are watching me, if I can impart one thing on you all, it would be this. Well, I'd say two things. I want to impart unconditional love, and I want to impart trying to ask people, to encourage people to critically think. Don't just react. And please, guys, we have to be a society that's forgiving. PewDiePie, literally, we see apologizes saying, I didn't know that was going to be a thing. I didn't realize they were actually going to do it. This is supposed to be a joke. We just saw him apologize. We're going to put him up on a fucking crucifix? Like, where is forgiveness in this? And I'm not even a religious person, guys. But we have to have forgiveness. I mean, just for everybody. Because if we lack it for people, then how the fuck can we expect it ourselves? We're human beings. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to mess up. But that's just part of it. And here's something else. H3H3 touched on this, and I want to go into this a little bit. I've done some work with Disney. So H3H3 said that Disney was an anti-Semite, he was a bigot, he was a racist, and he was. He was horrible to his workers. That man was fucking insane. And a lot of businessmen are. You have to have a lot of fucking mental illness at many times to get successful in business, because you have to really not give a shit and tear people down and bulldoze to get your way. So Disney they're such hypocrites. Disney and YouTube are such fucking hypocrites to say that, oh, there's anti-Semitic stuff, when that's what Disney was built on. That's what their founders built on. Okay, Disney, if that's the case, every single logo you have of Disney, of that motherfucker's name, you're gonna need to remove it. Go ahead and shut down. You know, all the little intros where you see the castle, the Disney logo, that needs to be done, and you need to denounce Walt Disney. Or you're lying. Or you guys, your whole company is one big lie and PR stunt and marketing campaign. You've marketed the hell out of a man who did a lot of evil shit and had a lot of evil beliefs. You were marketing him into something great and wholesome, and then putting PewDiePie down for a joke. To the media who's spreading the slander, fuck you. And grow a heart. But you know, I would be a hypocrite to sit here and just be hard. I'm going to say, a fucking whatever you want to call, a prayer, a mantra, a meditation. I'm going to send this thought out there right now that I sincerely hope that good can come out of this, because I still believe good can come out of every situation. So I really, really hope that the media can reform. It can reform, it can become what journalism used to be, which is facts, looking at a situation, bringing things up, digging, investigating, and not just going after people for the sake of McCarthyism. I really, really pray that we can change this around. And I believe that we can. I believe that the media can change. I believe we can all change. I believe we can get back to taking care of one another, taking care of ourselves, and focusing on our hearts. I believe that Felix can be forgiven for a fucking joke. It's a joke. But if he seriously meant no harm, if it's not meant in any way, shape, or form to further any negative agenda or campaign, I believe that we can forgive him. I believe that the media can be better. We can all be better people. It's that simple. The news likes to do this thing, if it bleeds, it leads. And that all that they want, the news has now become gossip. It's just about how do we sensationalize and get people to watch. But in the end, making more money and creating gossip doesn't create peace in your heart. Doesn't make you feel good about yourself. It doesn't make you feel good in life. And if you're doing things that don't make you feel good and don't help other people and hurt people, what's the point of doing it? There is none. So again, I just hold that thought ultimate good can come out of this. And I want to continue to encourage everyone. If there are two things I want to impart on the people who are watching me and the people I become internet friends with, and people who like to view this, I hate saying audience or subscribers, but people who are viewing, it's that I want you to feel like you are loved and cared about unconditionally by me, because you are. Every single one of you is, simply because you exist, because we're able to have this conversation. And the second thing I want you guys to really, I want to encourage people to do is critically think. Weigh all sides of information. Look at all of it. Don't go into something with a bias. Go in with an open mind and open heart. Weigh the information. Look at it from all sides. Argue it in your head. Play devil's advocate. And therein lies truth and wisdom. Don't get so caught up on a bias or a narrative or a story that you forget to actually look at all the facts. So I just wanted to say that. Guys, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Continue to be a blessing to yourselves and a blessing to others, and continue to try to find the joy and the sparkles in all the bullshit in the world. You are loved by me. You are loved because you exist. And that's it. I just love you guys. Thanks so much. Everybody have a good day. Blessings, and let's go be the best people we can be and the best version of ourselves we can be to others. Mwah!